Hi guys, Trina from Respiratory. We're just gonna review the use of nitric with our new machine. As you can see here, we have our gas sources. So we have 2 nitric tanks, and these are gonna be stored on the 7th floor by our other surplus of O2 tanks, and we have nitrous, and all those other gases. So you will find replacement nitric tanks up there. The O2 tank on this setup is for portability, so if we wanted to go on a transport, primarily so that we can do our check off, not plugged into a gas source. So that's why we have the tank on here. If you don't have a tank, that doesn't mean it's wrong, it just means that we don't need it. When we turn on the machine, there's a little switch on the side, it's a toggle, so we're gonna flip it up and that'll turn it on. If I wanna turn it off, I have to pull it out and turn it off. So we're just gonna turn it on. And while this machine is booting up, that's when you can grab the different disposables, so the pieces that we throw away. And they are all gonna be in kits. And I'll take pictures, and Autumn will have some resources too that you can refer to which kit for which patient population. Originally, we were just gonna do neonates, but life changes, so we'll make sure you have all that information. When the machine gets to this point, after it turns on, it'll say start pre-use check, and we're gonna say yes. And then it will take you step by step on how to do this. So it just wants to make sure you are not connected to a person when you do this. So we're gonna say okay. And then you will follow the prompts here on the side. And really, there are 2 things that we're doing when we use nitric, and those 2 things are injecting. We're injecting our gas, and we're gonna do that proximal to the humidifier, and then proximal to the patient's airway, we're gonna be measuring. We're injecting and measuring. Those are the 2 things. The reason we have this tubing is to do our pre-use checkout. So we're going to inject on one side, and then we're going to measure. We just don't want to measure right by the injector, because that won't give us an accurate sample value of what the gas mixing in the circuitry would be. The sample line, just like anything else we do with RT, gravity based. So we want that at all times to be upright. For the checkoff, not a big deal because there's no moisture yet, but certainly when we're using the device, we want to make sure that that is upright so we don't get tons of rain out. When we are doing our pre-use check, we will need something to push this gas towards the sensor. So what we're going to be using is essentially O2 tubing with a little connector, and this is part of your pre-use check kit. And we'll go like that. So I'm going to turn our flow on to 10. And now,
I'm just going to show them.
Yep, you bet.
And in the clean ICU stock room, you can use a flow meter.
And then this is going to take you all the way through it. It'll tell you when you're finished, and then you're just going to say yes. So we're going to just cancel because we're going to, it'll take you step by step what to do. And then it will say, oh, your pre-use is done, okay? Now, we're gonna purge right before you put it on a patient. It'll purge. That's what that sound is. It's just getting rid of the extra in the system so that we don't deliver baby a big bubble of nitric dioxide. So nitric oxide is what the gas we want to deliver. Nitric dioxide is poison. We don't want to give anybody that. So that's why we're measuring the waste product to make sure we don't. And so, and it's chirping at us. It's saying, hey, your O2 source is low. And that makes sense because I'm not plugged in. So let's do it. Let's see if we can.
Yay, it's happy.
All right, sweet. Okay. So we've done our pre-use check, and again, it takes a couple minutes, but it'll step by step take you through. Now we don't need this long circuitry anymore. Let's see. Of course, I don't have anything to send it, so we're gonna leave it. Good. Okay. Silence button right here. And what this is alarming is saying connected patient not treated. And the reason that's happening is because we do not have this running. Okay, so it's like, hey, I'm sensing some stuff, but nothing is coming out of this machine because it's not set. If we want to, we can press start treatment. We did all those things, and now we're gonna start. Purge again. And now we will see this number here, the measured level of nitric will come up. So we're set at 20, and we're gonna watch this come up. So our settings are in the middle. Our measurements are on the right. So we expect that this number is going to reach 20 to match the set. This is our NO2. Again, any of these decimals on this side, we don't want any, but a tiny little bit is okay. If you have numbers on the other side of the decimal, you have a problem, okay? And then in terms of FiO2, this measurement, right, measurements on the side, this measurement will always be lower than whatever your device is set at because nitric takes up space, right? It dilutes the FiO2 being delivered, so it's always going to be a little bit lower. Let's see what else. So we're going to have our, let's see if we want to do it this way. Our injector proximal to the humidifier, and you can see there are words and an arrow. It says high and an arrow. So the arrow is indicative of which direction the flow is going to go. So you want your flow to follow this arrow. So when we put it on the humidifier, it'll go on just like we do with our aerogens on the dry side, and then the gas will be delivered to the patient, and we are going to measure it proximal to the airway. And we'll have pictures for you guys to see. When you want to change it, doctor says, oh, let's go down to 12. Okay, cool. We'll toggle down to 12. Except this, we're going to see changing. It'll start to come down. Now it's alarming because I never adjusted my alarm settings. So if I go into alarm limits, this part is super cool. You can hit auto set and it is going to set those alarms for you. Accept. The general rule is if we're at 20, we're going to set the high alarm for above and the low alarm for below. So we're going to do 24 and 16. But when you get down to the smaller single digit numbers, like 10 parts per million or 9 parts per million, it'll start to make tighter alarm limits. So don't be confused by that. That is absolutely normal. And that's how we use it.
What
Okay.
happens when one of the tanks
Yes,
run
the
out?
tanks. Thank you so much. You're right. So here, thank you for asking. Up here is where we have our indicator of our tanks. So we have 2 tanks. If one of them did not have gas in it or was empty, there would be a big cross through, an X through it. And the reason we have one highlighted is because that's telling us we're using that tank, but we have a second available. We're plugged into power, and that's our electricity, as well as our battery, our backup battery. That is good for a couple hours. If you wanted to, you could go back into alarm history, and it gives you all these alarms. You could go into logs, and this will tell you when you did things. So when you turn down, so not only for us, but also providers, if they want to go in and see, they can look at trends or different events.
So Trina, what happens when one of the tanks runs out? Is the machine going to change over?
That is a great question. We don't have to worry because this machine, when it gets down to about 200, is going to auto transfer to the other tank, because both tanks are plugged in to this system. So it'll draw from the first tank, deplete that, and automatically switch over to the other. And the cool thing is, when it switches over to the other, we can replace the tank that's empty while this machine is still going. It won't affect it. We just have to depressurize. We'll turn our tank off and then remove the hardware here. And we do have special instructions for that, for folks if they want to do that. So, I think we'll conclude this video
Awesome.
for this part, and then we'll do another one for resuscitation.
Thank you.
Thank you.